All right, we are live on YouTube. So maybe I should say again what I just said a moment ago. Megan Hess had a family emergency and had to leave town. So I've asked Joy to step in as the chair today for this meeting. So I need to ask the commission to vote on her being the chair though. So I need somebody to make a motion. It's kind of an
I
awkward thing.
move that Joy serve as the chair for this meeting today.
I second that motion.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, Joy, I'll let you take it from here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to do my best to make sure. I know you're all pretty good about raising your hand when you want to speak, but if I miss anybody, just let me know and we'll try to get to everyone today. But I'll start off by just calling the meeting to order and then asking for an approval of the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda.
Thanks, Kathy. Anybody seconding?
Second.
All right, and then all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, anyone opposed? All right, looks like we're good to go today. And then let's see, the next item is to approve the minutes from the September 25th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Or does anyone have an edit that they want to make?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thanks,
Second that
Sandra.
motion.
Any seconds?
Second.
Awesome, thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, I think we're good there. And then is anyone opposed? All right, we're moving right along today. All right, Laura, I think I get to turn it over to you then for the OPD report. I'm sure you've got some interesting stuff to share this week.
I wish I could share, but I can't. So it was a very busy weekend, and there were the highlights, I guess, were 2 stabbings and a big brawl at a fraternity house, and but everything is still under investigation, and while one was going on, the detectives were at a different one. And so it was they were stretched rather thin. And so, like, just as an example, Monday morning, I had the news media wanting to know, because it's this instant world. And so the news media wanted to know what was going on, and we're coming up there Monday morning. And I'm like, I'm not kidding when I say I don't have a clue what's going on. And because the detectives weren't even in, they had not gotten to bed until about 6 o'clock Monday morning from the weekend. So they had to go to sleep. And then we kind of like had a meeting Monday afternoon. So they're still working on stuff. So eventually it'll come out. But yeah, it was a busy, kind of violent weekend. It was a unusual weekend. That's about it. There was just other normal stuff that goes on, but nothing outstanding other than those 3 events.
Can you say, were those 3 events all related to students?
Well, the fraternity house was certainly student,
Right.
But the other 2, no.
Okay,
The stabbings were not.
interesting. Thank you.
One was seemingly, I suppose, kind of like a domestic related type of a thing, and another one was not. It was just acquaintances that were stabbing. So, but no, there was just the one student related event. Now, don't start pushing me for information.
Laura.
I'm not going to tell you
And
anything.
I don't know if we have anybody on from MUP. You know, sometimes they call in. I don't think I see anybody here today.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone either.
That's all right. Scott, is there anything going on campus that you'd want to share?
So from the last time we met, so if the students are in the residence halls, or if you've heard about that, so we created, last Wednesday, so 10 days ago, a level system, 1, 2, 3, 4, or a color code system. So what we're trying to do there is identify outbreaks or clusters before they happen or before they get out of control. So we have students that are, if I'll just pick a hall, if Porter Hall, if there's more than 5% people that have tested positive, that will elevate them to a level 4, which is purple. So the people that test positive are removed from the hall. And what we're doing is remain in room. We're asking people to remain in the room. We're asking them to do that so that we don't spread it on campus further. So the intent was, instead of a whole hall or 50 people going in quarantine for 14 days, that hopefully this will run its course and they'll go down in 7 to 10 days or so. So we're kind of still at the beginning of this to see if it's going to, how long it's going to remain to do that. But again, it's one of those precautions that, as we did phase 1 and phase 2, and we looked at what was going on now in the halls as a way to kind of either slow it or stop it from taking over an entire hall. So we've been busy working through that student by student, parent by parent this week, kind of explaining that.
Can you say how many cases there are on campus?
Let me see if I'm
Roughly.
going through here. So it looks like as of today, or so from the last information I have, Prue, is from Wednesday, October 7th. It looks like from Wednesday, our estimated active 14-day total was 428. And at that point, there were 32 new ones on Wednesday. And this gets updated every 24 to 36 hours or so.
Okay. Is the 428 considered good? I have no idea.
I will defer and ask my colleague Steve Large and be prepared to answer that. So again, I'd want to defer that question because I don't know. I don't know, want to define good or bad.
Okay.
It's kept us busy. The last couple of weeks have kept us busy. So again, if we look at phase 1, we had an increase. Then when our off-campus students came back, we had an increase. And I think right now we're riding that increase from when our on-campus students moved. So hopefully the numbers will start to plateau or go down in the next 2 to 4 days.
And how many students are on campus now? Right, is everybody here?
Yes, everybody's here that wants to be here. So this last weekend, so the 2nd and 3rd of October, there were approximately 220 students that deferred moving in each time until that point. So anybody that didn't choose the remote option or hasn't changed their mind and gone home is here.
Okay.
So is that it, or is that the last time where they could make that decision to defer? Is that passed?
Yes, that's well yes. So to move. So when I say defer to delay their movement onto campus. So this was the last. So the students that moved in this weekend had been doing remote from home, and by and large, I would almost say probably are 100% first year students. They wanted to wait to see how things were playing out, so they delayed their move in by 3 weeks from the second week in September move in. So we actually had 2 or 3 times when students could move in.
Okay, but there's that's it. There's no more.
There's no more.
Okay.
And I'm trying to. I'll come back to it.
Just let me know, Prue.
Awesome. Thanks,
I
guys.
was gonna say, are there any other, so that was my update to share, but does anybody have any other questions about anything else that might be going on? That's just the world I've lived in the last 8 days.
Mm.
Could you maybe talk about, or maybe one of the students could, just how the request to wear masks on campus is going? I just haven't been to campus this week. Is that seeming to go well so far?
From my perspective, yes. So, but, you know, when my movement around campus is either driving in or out or going from Warfield to Armstrong Student Center. But I will tell you, it's noticeable. And I know that we've got clearly have some tours going on with high school students and their parents. So everybody I've seen has been wearing a mask on campus, but it's still, you know, the traffic on campus is sparse, at least in these areas. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. I also agree. I live in academic quad, so right in the middle of campus, and everyone I've seen so far has been pretty good about following mask mandate. But I also don't know how much people don't do it off campus.
Can you say that again? There were other people talking.
Yeah, so on campus, I haven't been seeing a lot of people disobeying the mask mandate. I think for the most part, people are following it on campus. However, I haven't heard great things about students off campus. So I haven't seen it personally myself because I haven't really been off campus, but maybe someone else can jump in.
There was an email sent out today by the provost that mentioned being responsible in communities, so not just on campus, but all over. And so,
and I'll piggyback on what Sidra said. I mean, so, you know, the other thing, if you drive through uptown, I think it's noticeable that more people are wearing them, but still in that 2 or 3 block area, it's not unusual to see people not wearing them or to have them down or around their ear.
So can you tell us what the schedule is of Miami for the rest of the semester? People are on campus or everybody's here. Now, when do they have a break? Do they take Columbus Day off or anything like that?
So students are here on campus until students check in. So until Thanksgiving break. So when students go home for Thanksgiving break, the idea is to remain home. And I think there's a reading day and then going to go into an extended week. So 2 weeks of finals. So we've got about 6 weeks left, Prue, if I'm counting correctly.
Okay.
another thing that happened since our last meeting is that spring break was eliminated or was dispersed among the whole semester, even for the spring semester.
Oh.
There's gonna be no spring break, no opportunity to leave and come back. Those days will be mixed in with the rest of the semester. There'll be several reading days that happen throughout the semester. So next semester, that's one less thing to worry about.
And how are you comparing yourselves with other universities, or is there a platform to share advice and what worked and what didn't?
I think we're monitoring that to be fair and to be honest, Prue. I think we're so in deep with what's going on here that a lot of that was probably going to happen after Thanksgiving, will be my guess. So I think, you know, we're following the latest guidelines from the CDC, from the state, from Butler County Health, and then monitoring and trying to benchmark what other places are doing. But it happens so rapidly that it's not as in depth as you might think right now. But I'm sure we will do that for the spring semester.
And you can change then too, can't you? If something isn't working, you cut that out and start something new. Yeah,
well, and you know, here's what I'll tell you. I mean, I think that a perfect example of that, Prue, is the 4 levels in the residence hall. I mean, that was something that we changed within 2 or 3 days to implement that to see how that works. And like I said, we're 10 days into it.
Laura, did you have something?
Scott, just because I have 2 kids in college and they're both, one's at OSU and one's at Miami, and they're both going to be without a spring break But I kind of get the sense from the one at OSU that was pretty crushing to not have a spring break. And I'm wondering about that and whether you've gotten any other feedback. This, I guess I'm asking more of a personal question and kind of the mental health aspect of it. And so to her, I think that was a dreadful concept or prospect, is to not have a spring break and to not get a break at all. And to her, having a Wednesday off in the middle of a week was nothing, because she wasn't going to get less homework. She wasn't going to get any kind of a break because of that. So how do you sell that to the student body if they say, how do I get a mental break if I'm not going to get a spring break?
Yeah. So I know that Steve and John Ward are actually working on this. So this is the calendar, I believe, was released late last week. It might have even been this past Monday, but it's been within the last week that the calendar was released. So, you know, some of the things we're doing, or we started this semester that seem to be going well, is our telecounseling. So we've made it, you know, quite honestly, just because of the Zoom reality, have put that up to where it's not a full-blown counseling session, but it is a check-in 15 to 20 minutes with one of our counselors that's available. And then we've started talking about the academic calendar from a student life perspective and the mental health issues that will come with that and how we'll address those. So maybe ask me that question in 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and I'll have an answer for you.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for taking all the questions today, Scotty. I appreciate it. All right. It looks like our next item on the agenda is old business. So we're starting off with supporting locally owned businesses. I seem to remember somebody talking about checking in with maybe one of the other commissions to see if they were working on this, maybe the Economic Commission. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, you are. I think that somebody was going to reach out to the CIC, the Community Improvement Corporation. It doesn't look like Glenn's here right now. I believe Glenn is on the Glenn Ellerby's on that as well. And this was one that got postponed from our previous meeting as well. But I don't know, maybe we could have a discussion here just about how we are supporting locally owned businesses and what are the challenges that we're having in doing so.
I think that's the right idea. I know I was sad to see Root just announced last week that they were closing. So that's a big loss for the community. I don't know, thoughts from anybody on supporting locally owned businesses?
Andrew, do you have an idea how well the gift card program has been going? Are people buying into that?
I have heard some discussions about it, that the sales haven't been very good. And the city's looking to see what can be done, like as the next step in that program. But I haven't heard anything definitive about that. So if you are interested in buying one of the gift cards, the slide is still on the city homepage, cityofoxford.org. And it's after the trick or treat slide. Let's see. It says gift card program, somebody holding up a gift card.
Where is that? Do you know where that's being promoted?
It's been promoted on social media. You can also buy them up here at the city building in person if you wanted to stop in. I believe that you can purchase them at the utility counter or upstairs in the city manager's office. Does that answer your question about about promotion?
Yeah. I guess I'm not plugged into the right social media.
I think the Chamber of Commerce promoted it for us. Enjoy Oxford did. Some of the businesses that were participating had advertised as well. We did a lot through social media, or through Facebook rather, the city Facebook account. And then a lot of word of mouth.
Something related as far as supporting local businesses. The Graduate Student Association has been really increasing kind of outreach with the local community, particularly local restaurants, creating some partnerships, some deals for graduate students, like graduate student nights. I think the two most recent I've heard of were Books and Brews, and I think the other one might have been Left Field Tavern. So, I don't have any numbers, but I'm hoping that those sorts of opportunities will be encouraging students to, just be going to those businesses. And that's shared through the GSA meetings and over GSA social media as well.
Has anyone heard how businesses are doing now that we have more students back in town?
I've heard that it's been mixed, but the real bump came when the students came back off campus. I know some of the folks over at Mac and Joe's, and they had mentioned that they didn't see much of a bump at all when the on-campus students came back. It was really the bump for the off-campus students before that. I think that there's some nervousness with the business owners and employees about what will happen when the students leave for winter break. Because I think that a lot of students will come back after Thanksgiving, but it's just knowing how many will come back after Thanksgiving. So there could be a really long winter for some of these businesses. I know that some of the restaurants are aware that people are worried about eating in. So that's still a fear for some folks, but they're hopeful that people will return. I would just ask everybody to imagine your favorite restaurant in Oxford closed and try to support that business, because, we don't want to see places close. And I've been in Oxford a really long time, and I love a lot of these businesses, and I've been trying to support them as much as I can. So a friend of mine actually just found out today that Madison Lee Salon had closed. She went there for her appointment and didn't realize that it had closed. So now she's looking for another salon. So that's that.
I know we usually see a lot of like small, business Saturday stuff, promoted after Thanksgiving, and that sort of ends up extending into that whole, week after Thanksgiving when students come back. I wonder if there's a way for us to encourage maybe, pre-Thanksgiving, gift buying or gift cards or that kind of stuff uptown for students before they leave. I'm just trying to think about sort of shifting some of those usual shopping habits for folks.
Is there a way to get the gift cards to the farmers market? I've noticed that there's been an increase of activity at the farmers market, and more on-campus students are attending the farmers market on Saturdays.
I can reach out to the assistant city manager, Jessica Green, and talk to her about that and see what she thinks about it. Thank you.
That's a great idea. Steve, I see your hand up there.
Was that me? I didn't hear the word.
That was you, Steve. Yep, you're good. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. I'm sorry I've had to cut off several times and haven't really tracked the whole conversation because of some government crap I'm dealing with the state. Anyway, listening to city council meeting this past Tuesday night and some of the discussions for the use of CARES Act dollars, there was a lot of conversation about supporting the local small businesses. And I think that council members are very alert to that. So I'm hoping that there may be some way that the city will be addressing that more directly, and including some of the ideas like Joy, you said, about trying to encourage purchases beforehand, and possibly being able to figure out a way to just continue encourage purchases, but not necessarily have to sell off the gift cards that were initiated initially, if I understood correctly. But everything that we can do in that regard for the students' participation is, I think, really appropriate. And my struggle, I mean, the thought, I don't know how we get those messages out best on campus. So I look to those of you Miami students and Connected on Miami to help with that, please.
Andrew, I just had a thought about maybe the gift cards being advertised on the farmers market website. They have their sales site. I wonder if we could put them there.
All right, I'll suggest that to Jessica as well. Thank you. Rather, I'll pass along your suggestion.
I know that the farmers market does a thing where if you bring a friend and it's the first time that they've been there, they'll give you and your friend one of those like dollars that they do, the paper ones. Because a friend brought me the first time I went and we both got $1. And then if you bring friends, they all get $1. So I wonder if like there's some sort of promotion like that that businesses could do. And then in terms of like promoting the small businesses to campus students, like I think we could work together to like figure out like how we want to promote, what we want to say, which businesses like to include, that kind of stuff. Because I think like it would be really easy to just like make something for social media really quick and put it up as many places as possible.
That's great. Thanks, Molly. Looks like we're kind of wrapped up there on small business conversation, but I think that's something we can continue to chat about throughout the semester. Looks like the next item on the agenda is the letter that Megan worked on for Women Helping Women. Megan, do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
That was perfect timing. My internet just started working again. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about that. And Andrew had suggested that I kind of screen share while talking about this. So I'm going to set that up really quick. All right. Does that look okay? Okay, great. Yeah, so I put together a draft of the letter. As I mentioned in my message, I had received a successful example from a city council member from Cincinnati. And so I used a lot of kind of similar rhetorical moves to what they did. And I think I've heard back from 4 people so far that they are, happy to have their names included. I've also gotten a couple suggestions, some kind of little word things, other suggestions for things that we could do with the letter that I'm going to kind of take into account. But I know Andrew mentioned that this is something we should talk about kind of as a team. So at this point, I'd be happy to hear, just to talk about the letter, any kind of comments or, other suggestions for revision. Would also be happy to take more names now if anyone else wants me to do that.
I can't quite see the whole group. So if anybody has their hand up and I'm missing you, I apologize, but feel free to jump in here with comments.
Hi, it's Steve Schnabel. I'm just in the third paragraph, the solution to ending gender-based violence.
Mm-hmm.
That seems awfully jargonistic to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think violence against women, although I realize there's violence against men too, but I believe that may be a touch more immediately understood.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steve, because and also got a suggestion from Zoe to actually exchange that with sexual and interpersonal violence.
I like that.
Do you like, does that sound better? Okay.
Yeah,
I
because
agree, that sounds better.
mhm.
Great. Yeah, it's for me, as I was writing, it's kind of a balance between, like you said, sort of avoiding jargon, but also recognizing this is a whole field of study and a lot of people have expertise in this. So kind of naming what it is. But yeah, I like that suggestion from Zoe. I had thought about including something about those stickers in the windows for bars that do this training, but I thought that might have just ended up a little bit too specific in case they don't do the sticker thing. And didn't want to make it sound like we're not going to be patrons at your bar if you don't have those stickers, you know. So I just wanted to share that we are supporting this. So. The other example that I got also listed all of the, and this letter was going out to Cincinnati bars. It listed all of the bars in Cincinnati that have already participated in the program. As far as I know, there aren't any bars that we could feature so far in the list. And I didn't know how effective it would be to list Cincinnati bars. I don't know, does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I think I might say something about be amongst the first in Oxford, or be the what's the founding.
Mm-hmm. Like kind of like leadership
participants, so that it's more of a local cell. Mm-hmm. And talks about it being an introductory program that relies on your voluntary participation.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's a fee though, isn't there? So voluntary isn't really the best word.
Mm-hmm. So what about if we go, so I mean, keeping it local in Oxford before we go to Cincinnati, but what about some of the bars outside of Oxford? And I'm like the Golden Key, or I know there's some bars on the outskirts of town that student groups, I don't know this year. I mean, in the past, I know they used to rent out or do things there. Would it be beneficial to maybe go 5 miles outside, radius 5 miles outside of town?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to reach out to them. Do you know if for this letter, if they've already participated in this training, or is that more of a suggestion of places that could be reached out to?
I think to be reached out to. I would assume that they have not been included in the efforts that have gone on in the last couple of years, but I don't know for sure.
I can pass that on to Maddie. You said the Golden Key was one of them.
Yeah, and I can't. If anybody else, I can't remember all the. I can't remember all the names of them.
I would imagine some places in College Corner.
Yeah. I think Indian Creek Tavern, perhaps in Riley. I know of some Miami, students that go for there for concerts and things like that.
I know that people will rent out Big Bull's Roadhouse, I think it's called, and then the grandfather's barn too. I know those are two popular ones for like formal events that people will go on like a bus for, at least for fraternities and sororities.
And these are all establishments that Oxford citizens use as well.
Mm-hmm. And another one that I've heard a lot is Lake Lindsay, which is on the edge of Hamilton, maybe a little bit too far away. And then there's the brand new place that's opening on 27 that should be open late this year. The name I can't recall.
Thank you for all of those. I've written those down, and I'll include that in a list for Maddie. That's great. I wonder if it would make sense to have two forms of a letter, one that's specific to Oxford and one that more generally references the Miami community for the bars that aren't right in Oxford, but are seeing lots of Miami students and Oxford residents.
I think that's a really good approach.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think if you were a bar outside of Oxford, you might wonder why you're getting a letter from so many folks on a commission that's in Oxford. So I think that's a good way to manage that. Maybe we do a little bit different wording on the one for folks outside of Oxford.
Mhm. Okay, great. Yeah, any other kind of comments or suggestions for revision that you've thought of? And kind of a reminder, I'd love to get more names to be able to put on this list. I think the more kind of representation we can have there, the better. And you know, you can tell me now if you want to, but otherwise, you know, happy to get emails over the next couple of days if you want to let me know if you'd like me to add your name.
Please add me, Megan, and I think you've done a great job.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve.
And you can
Please
add
add
me as
me as
well.
well.
Great, it's great, Megan. Andrew, do we need to do anything to like make a motion to approve this, or are we all set with where we are with this one?
It would probably be helpful to make a motion and take a vote on it.
All right, do we want to approve what Megan has now with some understanding she's going to make some minor tweaks, or, you know, do folks not feel comfortable with that? Would they rather wait to see the final letter at the next meeting?
I move that we adopt sending a letter with additional modifications to local bar owners and those outside the general Oxford area who serve Miami students regularly under the name of this commission.
All right,
I
thanks,
second
Steve.
that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And opposed?
And Jonathan Shirley
All right, thanks,
says
Megan.
aye
The
as
letter
well.
passes. And let's see, that takes us on to new business today. So we have the first item is access to resources.
So for this one, we have accessibility listed here, but it doesn't say like what type of accessibility. So you have building accessibility and web accessibility, technology accessibility. You know, accessibility is just a really general term there. So what we need to do is really define what we're looking for accessibility.
Well, in my mind, it was intentionally vague, intentionally broad. So it could allow for physical accessibility as well as just knowing about resources and having access to those resources, whether it's opportunities for housing, subsidies for housing, subsidies for childcare, or whatever. I mean, I meant to, when I suggested it, I meant to expand the definition of accessibility from just physical to kind of broader, just having access to multiple things, applying to multiple different groups, not just the physically challenged, but the people that don't have access to resources for other reasons.
Looks like Steve has his hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Just two examples. You want to remind people that there is accessibility to early voting through the van service at Oxford Seniors every weekday until the day before the election. So we're doing those rides by advance reservation. We haven't seen an avalanche of calls yet, but we're very serious about wanting to offer that opportunity to Miami students who are registered Butler County voters. So once again, those of you on campus that can spread that message on our behalf, please do. Secondly, we had a very successful drive-through flu shot clinic about 2 weeks ago, and there's been call for a second one, and Walgreens is agreeing to do so. Again, age is not the issue, although if you are 60 or older and need the high dose, we would need notice of that. and Walgreens is looking at either the 21st of October or the 26th. I think that's a Wednesday or the following Monday, if I'm remembering correctly. So once again, anybody in the community can take advantage of that. They do ask for your personal insurance to bill. And we ran over 70 folks through here in a 2-hour period, and it went very, very smoothly.
That's great. Thanks, Steve. Is there anything else on access to resources or accessibility that folks want to talk about today or share?
I was wondering if there were any updates. Steve, you might have been the person who talked about this last time, about the possible new cold shelter in Oxford.
Again, that was discussed by the council the other night, and they are working with Brad Hoblitzel of Family Resource Center to see if they can develop a 3-year pilot project on that, where Family Resources would have access to 6 rooms at one of the smaller motels on the way out to Walmart, plus would have 2 houses into which they could put families for a temporary transition. And it seems that city and city council are very interested in both of those steps, but they can't use the COVID CARES Act dollars that have to be expended by the 28th of December, and so are looking at another plan, which is really exciting.
Thanks, Steve. Prue, it looks like you're sharing your screen with us. I don't know if that was intentional or maybe you just bumped it.
I just bumped it and I don't know. Oh, there we go.
You're good. You got it.
Well, then I'll bring up what I had when you were talking about accessibility. There are voters guides that are all around the town and the campus. And if you want more, speak to me. But these are from federal to state to local candidates who are running. And if you go to the League of Women Voters website, you can see some local debates that we have had. We're in District 53, and there was a debate between the Democrat and the Republican candidate this last week. And just keeping your eyes open for that is something that's at least accessible to everybody.
It's a great resource. Thank you. All right. Last chance on access to resources.
One other thing that was talked about, I'm sorry, a whole lot was seeing that the city would install some free Wi-Fi locations as part of CARES Act, and that they would have that on an ongoing basis. And I think that's really a wonderful idea, and that they're working very closely with Talawanda schools to enhance any of the locations where web access may be less than favorable.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to make an announcement sort of by proxy accessibility. And I don't know if I sent it to anybody in this group. You know, I'm the Kiwanis Food Drive chair this year. And so we are working with TOPS for their food drive, which we usually do. But if you know that we can't hold the food drive the way we normally do to fill the pantry. So we, TOPS has suggested that we do a crowdsourcing kind of crowdfunding ask for $20 from everybody. So you can go out to the TOPS website. We have a Facebook drive, and then just through the regular website and donate $20 or whatever you want. They're giving out $20 gift cards to families this year instead of food baskets. And that's how they're going to provide food for the holidays for them. because people can't shop the way that they have been through their pantry. But also there'll be a deficit in the pantry because normally we provide thousands upon thousands of pounds of food. So in the wake of that, we have sort of come up with a solution to help fill the pantry. Each of our service leadership groups and affiliated organizations like Scouts, we've taken the categories of the foods that we sort the foods into when they come into the seminary building when we do our usual drive and divided those up. And each of the organizations have been requested and tasked with soliciting their friends and neighbors, coworkers, family members to donate. So we're not asking to go door to door. So if you know of anybody, if someone says to you, hey, would you mind donating instant oatmeal, for instance, please do so we can help fill the pantry back up this year so that people will have access to the foods that they need. That's my pitch.
Awesome, super important, thank you. I know some students were doing a 5K trying to support TAPS as well. I don't know if anybody that's on the call knows how that went. No one? All right, well, hopefully Molly will have it back in. Maybe she does.
Yeah, I don't know how many people participated because I think you could still register this whole week. So hopefully I can try to get an update on like how much money we raised from the 5K for the next meeting, because it's still technically like still going on sort of. But I think my VP of philanthropy said like they raised a decent amount. And obviously Greek Life has that $25,000. I can't remember the actual, might have been 250. I don't know. We like dedicated some sort of money to be raised for TOPS by the end of like 5 years or 3 years or something like that. So I could also maybe update you guys on like where we're at with that goal too next week. I'll just write that down to make sure that I bring it up.
I could help you out a little bit, Molly. So it was a 3-year gift, and I know that Kim is reaching out to TOPS right now. So it was a 3-year pledge that we're probably going to ask if we could do it in 4, just because the fundraising are like everybody else. The things we had planned to raise money, we're just not allowed to do. So I know that Kim, she may have already reached out to them because it was a couple of weeks ago to just say, hey, we said we're going to do this in 3 years, but we might need an extra year to retool from things we lost this fall.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Molly, too, for jumping in. Sorry, I didn't prep you for that one. All right, and then I'll go ahead and move on to health and wellness. It looks like Ben, welcome to the meeting, is with us today from the COVID-19 ad hoc committee. I'll turn it over to you, Ben.
Hi, guys. For those of you guys who don't know me, which is most people here, my name is Ben Maldonado. I am the chair for the COVID ad hoc information committee in the Student Senate at Miami University. The main reason why I'm here is because Megan was talking with us in our meetings these last couple of weeks about getting some more community input into this, because we're trying to get a lot of student-facing information in and out. We're trying to talk to admin and things, but a lot of times we forget about the community and things. So we wanted to make sure we get your guys' input into what we're doing as well, into how we're trying to bring about a better COVID response on our campus and everything. So to give you an idea of what our committee is, we have 3 main goals. The first one, and the most important one, is to consolidate and clarify all of the information that there is coming from all these different organizations about COVID, because a lot of it is contradictory. A lot of it doesn't make sense in context with the rest of it. So we want to make sure that all of that that's coming out makes sense together and is easy to understand when someone's trying to get the information they need. The second one is kind of what I'm here to talk about today, which is getting you guys involved, getting more groups involved with everything. And then the third one is to make sure that we don't miss any concerns and that we're hearing from everyone we want to be hearing from, to make sure that everyone's concerns are being met in an appropriate manner. So what we were thinking about and how we would get you guys involved is we were going to have a kind of bi-weekly rotation where at our meeting, which potentially might change times, but is currently from 4:15 to 5 p.m. on Mondays, we want to have representatives from all these different people, all these different organizations come in and either get information from us or give us information and concerns and things like that and any questions. And that would happen basically as like one person acts as like a liaison for the organization to come here. And obviously, I'm here to ask you guys if you guys want to be a part of that. I'm not sure who would be the liaison. Like, obviously, Sidra is here. She's also on the committee. Megan is also on the committee. So we have a lot of people from the committee in this organization already. But we just all want to make sure you guys are aware of all of that. So that's everything I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Does anybody have any questions for Ben?
Tell me exactly what you are doing.
Okay. What exactly were
you threw a lot of things out there, and my mind wandered.
Okay, of course. To boil it down to the most important things to take away about what we are doing. We are taking all of the information that we are getting from the university, from the individual administration members, from all of our student orgs, from Oxford. We're taking all that information and we're consolidating it together into easy to understand like pieces of information that we can spread out to the student body.
Okay.
And specifically, we're focusing on making sure that the communication is clear and doesn't have any contradictions. Because, for instance, the communication regarding, I'm not sure how aware everyone on the committee is about the move-in process for all of the students coming in and what the decisions are now with how they want students to live in the dorms. But there is a lot of contradictory information. There's some people are under isolation, and some people are under quarantine, and some people are under roommated room. And all three of those are three distinct policies that all have their own subtleties to them. And to be quite frank, I barely understand the differences between all of those. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that everything is communicated without contradiction and extremely clearly.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any other questions?
All right, awesome. Thanks for joining us and sharing all that information today, Ben. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, anytime. Are there any announcements before we adjourn today?
Well, can we just assume that Megan and who was it Molly, who are also on the commission, will be providing a liaison in our behalf, both directions?
I think it's Megan and Sidra was the other one.
Yeah, Sidra, thank you.
Yeah. Sidra, does that work for you?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think also one of the goals is if any of you wanted to represent the Oxford community better than Megan or Ben or I could, then I think that this is kind of an open invitation if you're interested to join us for a meeting and give your own concerns as well.
Awesome. All right. Looks like Kathy had her hand up there. Kathy, did you have a question?
Just thinking maybe we would add a standing agenda item where Sidra and Molly could, give a report, let us know what's going on with that group and what kind of information or input would be helpful for them.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Ben, it looked like you had something you wanted to there with.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if we did select someone from this committee who wasn't already a student and wasn't already on my committee, then it would only be about a 20-minute commitment every other week, is just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And like Sidra was saying, we all as students bring our own perspectives to things, and the whole reason why we're going to ask people is because everyone has a completely different perspective given where they are in the situation. So I'm not opposed to having Sidra and Megan do that, but we would prefer to have someone who isn't from already at Miami as a student to do that.
Awesome. Is there anyone interested in that? Ben, do you know, can you give us a time for when those meetings are?
Currently, as it stands, we would I guess hope to open up a window around 4:45 on Mondays every other week. though we might push the meeting back just like a half an hour or so in case anyone has any work concerns with that. So somewhere in that time range of either 4:45 to 5:15, somewhere in that zone would be when the person could come in to give their concerns or to ask questions.
If you're interested in a grouchy old man who has to be home at 5 because his caregiver for his wife has to leave then, I'd be willing.
We would love to have you.
Scott Walter, quit laughing.
I was just thinking, you're not grouchy, Steve.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve, for volunteering. I appreciate it. Anything else for Ben or any announcements for the day?
Joy, I have 2 announcements if that's okay. Real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. Just want to really promote a wonderful collaborative between the City of Oxford and Miami and the Coalition, and that is this year's virtual Hikeathon challenge. It's a whole month long. It's logging any activity outdoors, whether you're exploring the new amazing trails that we have here in our community, or you're raking leaves, or you're walking the dog, everything counts. Plus there's a couple fun little activities, whether it's orienteering or it's a great way for the community to come together and be outdoors and explore nature in these beautiful fall days. So, there's I know a bunch of us have put it out on social media, but at miamioh.edu/hikeathon 2020 is where you can go and register and log your minutes, and prizes are to be awarded. There'll be a drawing. So just wanted to promote that because I think it's a great way for us to, be outdoors on this beautiful fall days and be a community together. It's a safe thing we can do right now. Secondly, on Saturday, October 24th, and I'm just working on a flyer, and I'd love students, any ideas you have. It is the National DEA Medication Take Back Day. I'm not sure if Laura is still on here, but it's in partnership with Oxford Police, Miami Police, and McCullough Hyde. We are encouraging everyone and anyone of all ages to bring unused expired medications, no questions asked. The police will take them from you. This year, the DEA will also be accepting e-cigarette cartridges, vape cartridges with batteries removed. So they will be disposing of those for folks as well. So just an opportunity. We'll be hosting that from 10 to 2 uptown on Saturday, October 24th, and I can send out the flyer, but something to really try to get out on campus too. We always have a good showing from community, but we know that, if there's antibiotics you don't finish, although you should, or anything else that you have, it's a good way to just dispose of them in a very environmentally friendly way. So we encourage you to do that. So those are my announcements for the day. Thanks.
Thanks,
Amy,
Thanks,
is
Scott.
is that in the past where you've given us the clear plastic bags that we hand out? Is that a different drug give back? So is this when they drop it uptown, or is this when they bring in a sealed bag?
Oh, okay. So I think I know what you're referring to. Anybody can bring them uptown and just give them to the police officers, but we also have the disposable bags. Is that what you're talking about, Scott?
Yeah. Does Rebecca have those? Where did we get? Okay.
We will be giving those out as well. So if you want to take one back to your residence hall, take one back to your home, we have the bags that literally you open, you put the medicine in, add water, seal, shake, and then it is safe to throw away. It will not hurt the water system. And we will be giving those away, as well as pill counters for folks that as a way to monitor your medicine as well. So we have.
I know. Last year we had, I think Hawks and some other groups were giving out those clear plastic bags. Okay, all right. I'll check with Rebecca.
And from 9 to noon that day, simultaneously, Oxford Police is going to be hosting Coffee with a Cop. So they'll be giving out coffee. Just come up, talk with the police, and it'll be fun. So come join us. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Amy. All right, any other announcements?
Where Oxford Seniors is doing a modified version of its Rascals service activities. So if we look for volunteers who then go in groups of 2 or 3 to help seniors do fall yard work, usually leaf raking. We don't allow window washing or gutter cleaning, but instead of doing it on a single day where we get a group together and kick them off, we're trying to schedule it throughout a several week period so that we would take any rakes or other supplies that would be needed and drop it off the day before the volunteers would go to that site and finish the job. Also, we're recommending no direct contact because a lot of the seniors, unfortunately, love to make cookies or hot chocolate or something like that that may not be a part of the great thank you that we have for the volunteers. More details are probably at our website, and my brain isn't handling them right now.
Thanks, Steve. All right, any other announcements?
Just remember to pick up your voter information guide.
And vote.
And vote.
Awesome. All right, looks like that's it for the day. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's our meeting. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Sharing Forest Joy. Bye.